Well, hello all. So, what I have to talk to you about today is pretty damned important. It has to do with the environment, how much CO2 we're allowed to put in the air as of a new study, and what's happening with oxygen levels and other things here in the environment. Let's go over to the board and find out what the hell is happening with research, which we knew was cooked in the first place. But let's see how badly they cooked it during the Paris Accords for the environment. Okay, so there's been a new study by the Institute for Applied Systems, which is an environmental study group. This person has now come to the conclusion that the numbers that they came out with during the agreement for pollution from 2015 on, a total of 2,390 billion tons of pollution from 2015 on is what's allowed. But this study has shown quite clearly you can only put out 1,240 billion tons of pollution. You know, I keep bringing this up over and over every video now because it's getting to the point where it's actually an emergency that we have to solve the problems now. And we're not going to do it with a Hillary Clinton or a Trump. A Republican or a Democrat is not going to solve climate change. Trump says he doesn't even believe in climate change. He won't even look at the numbers. He's such an idiot. And then you've got Hillary, who's such oh, don't get me started with her. So it's got to be Jill Stein, people. The ones that have been run over by the bus, go over to Jill Stein. I've got links down below. I've got a link to her video. I've got a link to her website, the latest article on her. You know, it's up to us to try and save the planet, and we're not going to do it with a Republican or a Democrat. Even if that person says he was one thing and then switched over to being a Democrat and says he'll back a Democrat, that's absolutely that's suicide. We're not going to make it. We've got to get somebody like Jill Stein in. We have to do it, people. There's no way out of it. Our planet isn't going to last. It just isn't going to take this. Not going to take another war. Okay, this committee says that we need to keep the CO2 count to 280 parts per million, where it's been for most of human history. Now we're at 405 to 403 in the last couple months. Today we're at 404 something. A limit of 590 billion tons of CO2 is what's required to keep the planet from overheating. So the dire consequences with the CO2 and the methane. Let me talk to you real quickly about a problem we've had here in California was with a methane leak down in Southern California here in the US that spewed out tons and tons of absolute raw methane. They're expecting it to have a consequence in the way of methane count. It's going up and it's going up fast. Methane is a much more powerful greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide. However, methane does break down after a while in the atmosphere, much faster than CO2 does. The methane's important, but it's not quite as important as the CO2. The CO2 is the one that we have to pay attention to more than any other. But there's more problems. One of them is that the oxygen level around the planet is going down at an exponential rate as the CO2 is going up. They think mostly this is caused by burning of fossil fuels, which eats up oxygen, and also the decline of trees. They're saying we probably couldn't even plant enough trees to stop this. But there's a video down in the description bar that talks about this. It's very, very important that you listen to both Paul's videos. I've got 2 of them for you to watch. Now, let's go over to the board and look at what's happening to the world pollinators and why pollinators such as bees, bats, and insects are so important for us to eat. We must have pollinators, and unfortunately, because of the horrible insecticides we're spraying all over our food, we're wiping these guys out very quickly. Let's go over to the board and I'll show you what I mean. So an intergovernmental policy committee has found out that throughout the world, pollinators are on the decline and fast. So these pollinators are bees, butterflies, beetles, and bats. In fact, 16% of all vertebrates that do pollination are facing extinction. So as you can see, study after study after study is catastrophic. There are 2 videos to watch down in this description bar, some other links. The only politician who's saying anything about this really in the quantity and is taking part in fighting the problem with climate change is Jill Stein. I have her video and her latest video and her website, so you can go look at her stuff. That's all I can say, people. I can't say it enough. It's important that we change things for the better for all of the globe. Otherwise, within 20 to 50 years, we're all going to be burning up in 200-degree temperatures. There's not going to be any way to grow crops to eat. The animals will all die. It's catastrophic, guys. And if we just keep ourselves buried in the phone and ignoring what's real and just living on the phone 24/7, there's no way you'll even know what's going on or what hit you. All you'll know is that there's no longer a winter and that the North and South Pole is 74 degrees or higher. So important that we pay attention to the environment. And I know there's a lot of climate deniers out there, and all I can say is go see what the research says. This is peer-reviewed research. This isn't I heard it on the radio research. This is the real thing. Go listen to Paul's videos and comment on what you think. And I really appreciate all the comments in the last videos and the ups and the downs and the new subscribers. And until next time.